reading the Gospel of Mark, and I'm in chapter 4, where Jesus is teaching the multitude in parables. And he's finished teaching the parable of the 4 soils, and the parable of the growing seed, and the parable of the mustard seed. A seed this small that it's the tiniest of all the seeds. When it's planted, it's the greatest of all the plants. A tall tree for the birds to live in. And so he's explaining everything in parables. And he needs to describe the parables sometimes to his disciples. But that night, he decides he wants to cross the Sea of Galilee. He asks the disciples, so they all get in the boat and they head their way across the Sea of Galilee. And while they're on the water, a great storm comes. Huge waves, wind, very scary. And they look to find Jesus, and Jesus is asleep. And they're like, teacher, Jesus, wake up. So they wake Jesus up. And he wakes up, and he's like, he tells the wind and the waves to stop, and they cease. They completely stop. And his disciples, they've seen all these miracles that he's done, but they're still in shock. They couldn't believe that, who is this guy? How can he just tell the wind and the waves to stop? And he's like, ye of little faith, guys, haven't you heard me all day? And so I ask you right now, as we're in the wind and the waves and we're riding them out right now, I ask you that you grab hold tight to your faith. And the best way to do that is to pray. I ask right now that you pray for our country. You pray for our government, our leaders. Not pray for Democrat or Republican. Pray for our leaders. Pray for our country, that they would look to God for answers, and that God is at the center of it. And pray for our local leaders, our local government, our local church leaders. All of our pastors have really hard decisions to make right now. Local business owners have really hard decisions to make right now. So I just ask that you pray without ceasing. In Thessalonians, it tells us to pray without ceasing. So I ask you to pray, continue to pray. Continue to pray for all of those that are affected, whether it be a job, whether it be their health. But I ask you to hold on to your faith, even if it's as small as a mustard seed right now, and pray. Praying is what you can be doing right now while you're at home, or while you have that moment on your ride to work every day. Pray without ceasing.